No, it's the other guy. What's his name?
It'd be super late.
Now I'm gonna find the answer. Now it's bugging me. James Corden.
Oh, of course, Carpool Karaoke.
I just couldn't think of his name. I'm like, I know what he looks like.
Isn't he always?
Yeah, and he's always singing.
Trevor Noah's leaving too.
Yeah, that's. I wonder what's gonna happen there. Okay, sounds good. All right. All right, everybody, we're going to get started in just a couple of seconds. Last call for VIPs. Please, VIPs, if you have your VIP card, please come up to the front.
Let's do this. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much. We're live.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome, welcome. So, hello. Welcome to Catalog and Cocktails. It's an honest, no BS, non-salesy conversation about enterprise data management with tasty beverages in hand. So hopefully you got your honest, no BS old-fashioned or your other beverage of choice. We are coming to you live from DGIQ in Washington, D.C. For those that don't know, Catalog and Cocktails is a live show and podcast where we get together with awesome guests and we talk about data. I'm Tim Gasper, longtime data nerd and product guy at Data.World, joined by co-host Juan Sequeda.
Hey everybody, my name is Juan Sequeda. I'm the principal scientist at Data.World. And as always, we do this podcast live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. And it is 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. We're doing it live. We're here live with everybody. And it's Wednesday, middle of the week, end of the day. And we're here to go chat about data. And we have fantastic guests today. We have Shannon Moore, who is the principal consultant at Darty Business Solutions, because Darty rhymes with party, and Anthony Algmin, who's the Convergence platform lead at AbbVie and author of the Data Leadership book. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
All right. Are we on the mic?
Are these on?
For having us.
All right. So, as we always, we kick it off. So, tell and toast. What are we drinking and what are we toasting for today? Shannon, kick us off.
I am drinking, for the first time, an Izzy Sparkling Mango. And I am toasting two things. So one, I'm toasting Dataversity for hosting this fantastic conference. And the second thing, since we're in Washington, D.C., I am toasting the Smithsonian Institution for their amazing museums.
How about you, Anthony?
So I am drinking Heineken Zero when you want to keep your edge and have something that reminds you of beer. And I am toasting to being among friends here in Washington, D.C. It has been far too long since we've been able to get together regularly, and I'm just happy to be among all of you today.
Well, excited to have you here.
How about you, Tim?
You know what? I am toasting to the amazing speakers that we had. I thought this was an amazing conference. We had great speakers on all sorts of topics, on offensive governance, on defense, on people, on empathy. I thought that was an amazing talk. And really, cheers to that.
And then I want to cheer to all the data governance professionals who are here today. Like, we have been here working a lot, and we're coming here to really celebrate. And we want to really celebrate also the folks who are listeners to our podcast. I have to say, I think this is like our 110th episode that we've done for over 2.5 years. We reach over 1,000 listeners every week. We're in the top 2.5 global ranked podcasts globally. And for Spotify, we're getting the raps. We're listed in 56 countries. We're in the top 5% most shared and most followed podcasts in all of Spotify. And we're in the top 10 podcasts for 606 fans. We're in the top 5 podcasts for 394. And we're the number 1 podcast for 120. If you're out there, you're one of these people, like, thank you. So, toasting for all of you. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. So, we always have our funny warm-up question. And today, the question is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not?
Shannon, what do you think?
Okay, my answer, this is a tough question. My answer would be Christmas is about family, it's about togetherness, it's about building great memories and love. So I would say if it brings your family together, I would say yes, it is.
And in some families, it's about arguments and action and violence. So yeah, why not? That can be a Christmas movie too.
And it happens on December 24th, so yes, it is. It is a tradition we have in my family. We always watch Die Hard. All right, I guess we're in agreement on this. All right, let's kick it off. Honest, no BS. So 2022 is coming to an end. We have spent the last couple of days together here at a data governance conference. So honest, no BS. What is the state of data governance as of December 2022?
So what I'm seeing in data governance is we're not at a fundamentally different place than we've been for years. I think organizations have made some progress. I think organizations are still trying to figure it out. I think we have more data to govern, but I also think that we are still trying to get the kind of uptake in our organizations around data governance that we've been trying to get for a long time. And I don't know that we're being any more successful yet than we ever have.
It was interesting. I was having a conversation at lunch with Steve McLaughlin, who did the session on gamifying data governance. And in that session, when I had lunch with him, he made the comment, which resonated with me, which was, seems like a lot of the sessions I'm going to today are really about how do we make people care, whether it's metrics, whether it's targeting to the business value, whether building better search teams. About how do we make people care, and I think how we speak to people about data governance, and that's what I see for me at least, this conference has been focused beyond just sort of the technical piece of our jobs to more the audience and the communicating around.
So one of the things that I've been seeing kind of in the last year, and it actually is converging here too, are two main topics. One is show me the money, follow the money, like we do the defensive, offensive conversations, but they're being tied to money. Like I was at the talk by Teresa from Data Quality, and I loved how we were showing literally money signs on things. Like that was an example. I'm hearing this is a trend. We're not doing much of it yet, but we're having those conversations. That's one. And second, we are having genuine conversations now about people. We kind of usually say people, but we end up always about tech. But here, we're really talking more about people. There's a lot of conversations. There's the panel about empathy. Cardi from Amex talked about the people side. Here's the keynote about gamification. Like we're starting to get really essentials into the people side. And I think that is where we're heading. I don't know, those are the trends that I'm seeing. Does this resonate with you? Or
I think you bring up a good point. And I do feel that we have a tendency to focus too much on the function of data governance, of the work that we're trying to do, and not enough on that total value proposition to the business. But to your point, Juan, I think we are seeing more evidence that message is starting to resonate. Like within our community, where people are talking more and more about actual value to our organizations and tracking that and measuring that more and more. And I think we're starting to make those inroads in our community. And that will lead eventually, hopefully, to more success with data governance when we take these ideas back home to our organizations.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there were two. I did a presentation on organizational change management, but there was at least one other one, maybe, and then other people have referenced that, which is really about organizations don't change, the people in them do. And in the closing session we just had, they talked about, one of the people on the panel talked about, asking what do they care about? How does that person measure success? So if we look at data governance from the lens of, what do you do? What do you care about? How can I extrapolate from that how data governance can help you, as opposed to you help me because I have this data governance stuff and I need you to do it.
Right. No, I think the statement that you just made that organizations don't change, people in them do, is a very interesting one. And then I also think about this fact that like we're having trouble really getting people to care, right? So I kind of connect the two dots together with that. And how do we get people to care more? And how much of it is, the people, like, are we empowering them? Are we asking them to do the right things? Do we have the right people, right? versus what can we just do campaigns around? Is there more internal marketing that we need to do? Is there more internal selling that we need to do? You know, where do you feel like the biggest opportunities are as you think about how we get people to care more?
I think there's really two pieces to that. One is just the communication piece. There is, so Warren Buffett did a preface to the SEC Clear Plain Language Book, and it was about how to write good SEC disclosure docs. At the end of that, he says, when I write a letter to my shareholders, I think about my two sisters. They're smart, they're intelligent, they don't know anything about finance, they don't know anything about accounting. What would they want to know? What would I want to know if I were in their shoes? And so I think communicating to people in a way that resonates with them is important. And I think the second piece of it is also, I lost my train of thought, but it was really profound. Turn it to you.
Yeah, part of me says there's limited amounts of things people can care about in organizations. I don't need them to care about data governance as much as I need them to care about improving the business with data. It's a nuanced difference, but it is a difference. And so I don't want to sell at people the wrong thing. I want to hear where are our challenges in being a successful business, and then be able to understand how do I connect data to those challenges, and then how do I improve that? Because if we can make those connections, here are the real problems, then we'll be able to implement data governance. Whether they understand or care about that is less relevant than can we make the impact from changing things or improving things or giving them those tools that they need to leverage data to make the business better.
I mean, let's be honest, data governance and all of the data management, it's a means to an end, right? We're corporations, we live in a capitalist world. What here is to maximize shareholder value, make money, save money. That's what needs to be our end. And I think we get so obsessed sometimes on the technical details. I was having this conversation about like, yes, we should go have, I strive to have high quality data and all these things. Like, yeah, that's what we should go do. It's obvious. Like, the hotel does not advertise, come to our hotel because we have clean sheets and clean towels. Like, no, it's a given, right? So I think we change the, like, we gotta understand where that bar is, and these things are a means to an end. Having clean towels, is like, that's, of course, that's something that has to happen, right? So I think we need to go change that. Exactly, I hope so. So you go off and you tell your executives that, hey, we've been focusing on having higher quality data. They're like, you better freaking be doing that. Like, that's the least you can do. And I think these are the mindsets we change, that we get so obsessed on these technical details. We got to zoom out and like, how do I know that is actually providing shareholder value?
Well, I want to build on your hotel analogy for a moment, because we're here at a hotel this week, and I'm sure most of us have been to a hotel at some point or encountered someone working at a hotel that made you feel like they couldn't have cared less if you were there at all, right? And I feel like a lot of the time in data governance, we approach it about what we need from other people. We're trying to do these important things, you better help us. We need your help, do these things, to work on this stuff. But in reality, what we should be doing is thinking like the hotel, like your analogy, and saying, how can I serve you? How can I appreciate what you are doing and help you do the things that you already know are important in executing things for the business? And that's, like, if we can make that connection and shift our focus on how do we serve, I think we'll get more results from these data governance efforts that we spend so much time thinking about.
I thought of a second thing.
Yeah, please, yeah.
My second thing was, I think we need to think more like a marketer. You know, you think about, someone talks, or it was in the keynote from Tuesday where Donna Burbank talked about just do it. Like, if you ask them, just do it. Do what? You know, that doesn't explain to you what they want, right? And I think the marketing mindset would be really helpful in terms of building buy-in and the desire to participate more. If it was a little more engaging, a little more fun, a little more user-friendly, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I like the analogy around like the marketing mindset. I think that even ties to the hotel analogy a little bit too, because the hotel needs to do a good job of saying like, hey, here we care about, you know, providing you an exceptional experience, and that's why we leave little chocolates on your bed and things like that, right? And I think that kind of same thing can apply to the world of governance, because one approach to governance is much more like, well, let's make sure there's the clean sheets, there's the high quality data, the things that we must do, but in and of themselves maybe are the table stakes, right? How do we actually go and become an enabler within the broader organization? And maybe around this marketing mindset, I know something that's becoming very popular these days is the idea of treating your data like a product, right? Because what do products have? They have a life cycle, they have a user experience. You can have a great product, but if you don't market it, nobody might buy it, nobody might use it. Do governance people have a role as sort of data marketers or data product managers in some respect?
I think 100%. I think 100% yes. If you want your data governance program to succeed, you have to. It's that empathy with your audience and understanding whoever your audience is, whether that audience is, a business vertical, whether your audience is, a stewardship, whatever, whoever your audience is, you've got to think about how do I persuade them to want to be a part of this.
Well, and I would say, like, in data governance or data platforms or products or what have you, one important thing to remember is that nobody owes you anything. Nobody is sitting there saying, oh, I've got to do this because governance told me I needed to. And you're so consumed with so many things in your day that you're told you need to do, or things that you have attention that you have to place on things. We need to recognize that we are trying to sell a product. We are trying to convince us, hey, this may be something of value to you if we spend some time. Oftentimes it's not money that we're asking them to spend, sometimes it is, but we want their attention, we want to be able to get their time and energy. And if we recognize that we have to provide a value proposition to earn that, then it changes the way we focus on these data.
Well, and I'm an example of how we've seen that happen. A client that we've been working on recently, as we started to build up their data governance practice, we focused on what was a key strategic initiative from the C-suite that the digital loyalty marketing team was working on. And that was the proof of concept that they took on. We were going to get you the information you need so that you would turn to be successful in this big digital marketing campaign. And by doing that, they were super invested. They were super engaged. They wanted to learn about the catalog. They wanted to participate. It wasn't a huge shift. It didn't require some major, difference in approach. It was really hard.
Well, and that maybe is an extension to this analogy here, because if we want to sell the product and we want to make sure that we're doing a good job of really pushing enablement around the data in the organization, at the same time, you also want to find a good market. And that good market is one where the C-suite or whatever that the leaders in the organization, they've said, hey, this is our big initiative. It's around marketing. It's around this, whatever it is in the organization. Okay, cool. This is my TAM, and I'm going to put my product market, my product offerings into this TAM, right? Into this addressable market.
We've been having these conversations, and actually, we were having this conversation, and sitting next to us were folks from our marketing team, and they're like, "But Juan, Tim, that's marketing 101. You're talking about communicate, like you create a communication plan, like these are obvious." So it just hit us like, wait. First of all, we need to start talking to the marketing people to go learn from their approaches, and also have a marketing mindset when it comes to data. Because if I think about governance from a very protective point of view, if I protect it and nobody uses it, well, yeah, 100% the company's protect, nothing is being used, nothing's happening to the data, but you're not making any use of it, right? You're not marketing anything. So it's like, I have this amazing product, but nobody's buying it, but it's still amazing. Like, so what? You're not making any money on it. So you need to go find that balance. And I think what we really need to go do is have this mindset of, I'm going to go promote, but promoting the data also understand is, who am I going to promote it to? What do I want? What does success look for that? And that's what you go do when you're marketing. You try to understand your consumer. You try to go understand what the size of that. Is it worth it or not? Or this other side? And how I'm going to communicate that? Who's going to go care and stuff? I think we need to bring in that mindset too. So my suggestion is we need to go talk to our marketing friends.
Well, I think there's another piece to this as well beyond marketing. And in what I do in my business and where I'm working, we focus on adoption. And that adoption is a two-way street. We need to be able to promote and market what we are doing, but we also need to gauge and understand the response to that. And understand, okay, maybe there's ways we need to pivot and adapt our offerings so that it's more relevant to the business. And that bi-directional flow isn't something like in any large product organization, you're going to have that. That's probably going to exist in separate areas. In our little Mary data governance groups, we are not going to have separate resources for that. So we better make sure we can do both directions and coordinate those efforts appropriately.
I'm really excited about this idea of thinking about like marketing, because it's a combination of it's how empowering again the people side. I think we need more of these things. But I want to shift the conversation a little bit towards like the money. Like there's a lot of conversations we had today, conversations I've had in this year. What are the techniques, the methodologies, the approaches that you're doing to actually not just sell data governance, but actually providing more of the value directly to the governance is the ROI. Let's talk about the ROI then.
I think besides tying your data governance efforts directly to the strategic business initiatives that the company has in one, because then you're helping to help that succeed, you're contributing to the ROI. But I think the second piece of it also is thinking a little bit more about the value to the organization more broadly. One of the kind of catchphrases that I do talk about data governance is it's an honest, an ongoing enabling business function. Just like HR, just like we don't say, well, hey HR, I'm not going to interview anybody for jobs in my department. Like that's your job. Hey HR, I'm not doing any performance reviews. That's your job. It's just assuming we will contribute to HR. And no one says HR prove that you have value. Prove that you value HR. It's a given. Well, yeah, of course we need HR. I would love if we got to that point in data governance. Because data, every single function in the whole organization.
Are we not there today?
I don't think
Doesn't
we
feel
are.
too much like governance is like, oh, well, we got to make sure we address our GDPR compliance. So that's going to take 2 years and this amount of money, and then we're done.
Yes, I think it feels still kind of, at least from where I sit and what I see, IT project.
Yeah.
In my organization, we have at a variety of levels unmet needs in where they want to be able to use data and can't very well today. And so a lot of the time when it comes to like data governance, I'm doing data governance kind of in secret underneath the covers. Because I don't need to go and say, hey, we're doing data governance. I need to say, hey, we've implemented some things that help you use your data faster, better, more confidently. And when you can do that, you'll be on board with those things that make that possible. That's data governance. I don't need to sell the concept of data governance. I need to make data governance real. And it's a little bit of a nuanced view, but I'm fortunate that I'm not trying to drum up, hey, do more with data. They're like, we got you. We're doing more, but we just run into walls with the data we're trying to use. So now we can help them bridge.
Do you think that we're trying to be sometimes too ambitious? Meaning that we want to go, we're going to deliver value after X amount of time, but we should be having more short, quick wins?
I would agree. I think a lot of times we see the big picture and we have these very ambitious missions. We have this kind of pie in the sky dreams of a perfect data world eventually. And that's not necessarily accurate when it's kind of like if you go back to the hotel example. You may get the chocolate on the pillow as that nice treat, but they forgot to take the towels out of the bathroom, or the floors were dirty. So if you do the attractive nice thing where you're like, that's a nice touch, but you miss those basic things, it doesn't land as well as if you execute the fundamentals well and then go above and beyond. And so I think we need to just get back to basics in some ways and say, how can we amplify the things that are most important? Speed to use. If nothing else, solve for speed to use. Because any delay delays everything that goes downstream. So start there and say, okay, while we're doing that, let's improve some quality. And let's track it and make some master data improvements where we can start to reuse things more effectively down the road. But if we can start measuring how do we impact their speed and our ability to start creating outputs, now we can start to, I heard a disturbing stat, I don't remember what it was, but like I think Malcolm Hucker, his session earlier today, said he talked to something like 1,400 or 1,500 organizations about data governance, and he could count on one hand the number that had quantified to the dollar or to a dollar amount, even estimate what the value of their data governance program is. Like, to me, that's terrifying. We have to do a much better job of measuring and estimating the value if we want the executives who are trying to reach to understand our value proposition well.
What? So if that's the case, if you're telling me really that 1,400 organizations and only 5, whatever, but still, I mean, we're still going on, so we're incentivizing the wrong thing. Like, how does this needs to change? I mean, how do we make this change? What are the incentives that need to make this change?
Well, I think the incentive is that we get to continue to exist, because if we can't actually create a value proposition that resonates with a business, how in the world are we actually going to deliver on that promise? And that's where we have to continue, and we're seeing signs of this. Like we talked about earlier, we're seeing signs of reorienting towards true business value. And when we do that, we're going to be much closer to hitting our promises than if we just say, let's go define some metadata and go around that path without any real clear value that comes from that work.
Well, and I think the truth of the matter is, right, I don't work in highly regulated industries like banking or finance necessarily, compliance activity. But I think the reality of the fact is, regardless of where you stand on the business, is that data privacy is going to end up driving a lot of what happens in data companies. You know, you look at the 50 states compared to GDPR, which is a European privacy standard, every single state is a different thing. And if you do business in all those 50 states, you got a whole lot of privacy regulations to try to comply with. And as this becomes more stringent, as people say, not just people, as businesses say, I want control over what you do with my data. If I'm sharing with you information about my store and you have products in my store, I expect you to protect it. And maybe I want you to do it. Maybe I want my taste. I think those sorts of scenarios are going to rightly or wrongly drive a lot of what happens in the data governance space and will, by de facto, make us more relevant.
I think that's interesting because the privacy use cases and the other types of defensive use cases, kind of going to the offense versus defense, like Donna brought up in her keynote on Tuesday. Privacy falls a lot more into that defensive side of things. And as we go forward, it certainly seems that the defensive use cases are going to proliferate. It's not static. It's going to get more complicated. There's going to be more demands there, and that's going to drive a lot of governance focus over the next few years here, right? At the same time, though, we want to do more offense, right? So we want to get more aligned to value. We want to say, like, oh, yeah, here's the data products, here's the use cases. Let's do faster speed to value, like you're mentioning, Anthony. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff that we got to do now. And yet there's this sense that, like, oh, but is there also even an existential crisis for governance? Like, that to me doesn't compute. Like how can, like, why would we have an existential crisis if all these things are demanding us, right?
Takes advantage.
But you're making an interesting point that privacy is what's going to drive a lot. So, if as a professional right now, folks who are here who are learning, a lot of people who come to this conference and are coming here to learn. Do you have to choose? Is there like a governance for offensive versus governance for defensive? There are different approaches, and I'm learning. I'm coming here. I've got introduced to data governance. Do I have to choose something to learn? I'm going to be a data governance for offense. I'm going to be a governance for defense.
Let me tell you what I see. Whether you have to choose, I don't know. But what I see is for individuals, they choose their niche. They become specialized in privacy, or security, or data optimization, or visualization, or data science modeling, or whatever. I think that's sort of inevitable. There's so many things you could do that you're sort of forced to choose. By default, you end up finding your area of focus that you're most interested in. I know that the client engagement I'm working on right now, working with individuals in legal, in privacy, in security, in data strategy, in digital marketing. I mean, all those things, there's a huge range of concerns and interests in our offense. some are defense. So whether you need to pick or not, but there's definitely ways of learning, just like learning about marketing. There's definitely value in making sure you at least know enough to get what they care about and what you're pursuing.
I think we have to acknowledge that data governance gets instantiated in many organizations from a defensive posture, like a compliance or audit mandate, or something that is tied to a risk mitigation value. The problem is that can be very difficult to measure under any circumstance because the events happen so frequently that you will never be able to directly measure them, even if you could get all the data. So, in a short-term capacity, I think it's really important to deliver on what got you started. So I think you have to make sure you're covering that defensive base. I don't think that will lead to continued long-term investment by itself. I think you need to continue to do things on the offensive side, which have a greater propensity to drive revenue improvements and cost reductions, because that is more attractive. Even through estimates of it's in more people. And that's the way you can get lasting investment in data governance. Because otherwise, people will be like, okay, we checked that box, we can just put that governance on ice. I mean, who's had the question of, like, when's this data stuff going to be done? Because that's a drag. Like, we don't like that. Well, and oftentimes, like, being done with data is like being done with HR. You're just not going to. Like, that is not the answer. The people who said, please check that box for us, that's not the answer they're looking for. What they want to do is say, yes, we covered it, we got the process in place, done, let's move on.
So one of the things that is called in strategy of an organization, and I ask myself, in your organization, in your data team, in your data governance team, do people know the organization strategy? Are they actually aware of what are the operational goals? Are the OKRs, are there KPIs for your team aligned to those, to the strategy, to the operation of your company? I asked myself, and I would bet not that well. I would think so. And I think that's the chain we're going to go do. So this is like we need to have an entire chain of command well focused and communicating, but we're not seeing it. So this is, I think, if there's a takeaway about what needs to happen by the end of the year when we start the new year, my ask is like everybody understand what the operation goals for the company for 2023, and if it's we better than not get fined for this stuff, but that's how you know you have to go do more effective. I mean, there's some things that are going to be obvious about foundational, but if we're seeing these types of goals and that's offensive, like I have an incentive right now. Like the goal, the company's going that way. Let's go do this. I believe there's a gap. My question to you all is, do you see this? Is there a gap or not from your data team understanding what are the operational goals of the company?
I can answer this in a couple of ways. I'm both minds on this. One is that if your business strategic goals are developed in isolation to the point where they don't know what's possible, that's no longer a strategy, that's a wish list. So then you have a disconnect of your own leadership with what your business can actually do. So that's a problem. The other problem is that if you're a data governance organization that likes to think it has executive support or sponsorship, and you don't have alignment to the actual goals that are coming from that leadership, again, we have a disconnect. And so I think the right answer is that if you're serious about data, which I think most organizations would at least like to think they are at this point, then that possibility and knowledge about what's capable today and what it takes to build capabilities tomorrow needs to be brought forward to the strategic conversations at business level. Because that's where you can know what can we actually execute. If data is relevant and necessary for us to be a competitive business, then that's part of the strategy equation. And trying to do it any way is just giving yourselves about something right. And unfortunately, we as data governance professionals wearing that hat may not always have the opportunity to make that case. But over time, we have to come around.
But we may not be able to make that case right now, but I think we better than figure out how to make that case. And the leaders, the success people out there are the ones who will be able to go do that. And if you're not able to go do that, I'm sorry, I think you're follower, and yeah, no leader.
And some of it is a leadership piece because I've seen organizations where they are very talented and like well aware and understanding of what the strategic goals are for that year, for that quarter, and then I see the opposite extreme where the steward's like, I have no idea why I'm being in this thing profiling, I have no idea why I'm promoting this KPI, I have no idea if it's even used or how to help anybody. And frankly, I don't have time to listen to anything senior leadership is saying on any town hall because I just got to work on doing my math to and we have to, it has to come from their leadership. You have to be incentivized to want to look at that.
I think that's really well stated. And like when, even if some of the things that you're focused on are a little tactical and technical and maybe a little in the weeds, you should be doing a better job of communicating how that ties to value and how it's making an impact. So I think that's hugely valuable. Before we go to our lightning round today, we're at the end of the year. We're on the cusp of 2023, which literally sounds like we're in a sci-fi movie. What do you think is the most important priority for governance in 2023 for organizations, for our community?
So I would say the most important thing that we need to do in data governance in 2023 and always is to lead by example. And if we're going to be the data people, let's start by doing that well ourselves. Measure, quantify, work with the data, understanding quality, and use that to teach others and demonstrate to others why that's valuable.
I would say, I would say, data governance is only going to continue to grow because of privacy, because of the exponential growth of data, because of all the companies that are doing digital transformations to the cloud. Data governance is not going anywhere. But I would say going to communicate outside of the technical audience is going to be the driver to making data governance not relevant, it's always relevant. But again, to having people, to bringing people on board and having them be part of the fun, part of the adventure.
Oh, this is great. So, first of all, lead by example. The irony that as data people, we can't explain the metrics and stuff that we're doing other people, but everybody else expected to do the data literacy to understand how to do the testing and stuff. Like, there's a lot of irony in there, especially that way. Wait, don't you want to have the data behind the data what you're doing? I have to say, it's really frustrating sometimes when I talk to people and I'm like, no, like, we don't have to provide all this ROI because we enable everybody. It's like, wait a minute, everybody's freaking accountable. The CEO's accountable to the board. Like, who the hell do you think they are in some high horse that you can get away with this? Like, no, you got to be accountable. I think that's really agree with you on that. And I think the communication, that thing that we've been seeing in the last couple of days, is people understand how to communicate. That is something we really focus on. When Donna was saying, yesterday, like, it's too technical. You can't understand. I'm like, no, sorry, it's your problem if you can't explain it to me. You have to go check.
She also made the point too that as we are experts in this particular area, there's a whole lot of stuff we know nothing about. I'm not an expert about finance. I'm not an expert about supply chain. I'm not an expert about a number of things. So just because someone does explain it, does not mean they're not very much have a tremendous expertise in their office. That's obvious.
Yeah, I think it's great. Very well said. And before we go to the lightning round, so you gave some predictions about 2023, what we need to focus on. What's your message to the vendors, right? There's a lot of tech vendors out there. What should they be doing different in 2023?
What do they need to do more and focus? What should they stop doing? Honest, no BS.
I have really strong opinions.
Go.
I have really strong opinions. Make it like a consumer experience. When I log onto my catalog, I want to feel like I'm using it. That's my advice. I want to feel like I'm using some IDE tool to develop my software. That's me.
I love that. And then I'm also equally passionate about, please learn how your product is used in the real world. I am so tired of vendors who create software that they've all just been software developers their whole careers, and they don't actually know what it's like to maybe work on building a data catalog or something like that. Whereas clearly, like David, you guys have eaten your own dog food for a long time, but I see this broadly across a number of spectrums. You're so focused on what you're building, and we can learn from this in data freedom too. Don't be focused on what you're building, be focused on how people resonating with it, using it, struggling with it. As Juan said, if you're consultants struggle to understand how to improve, because a lot of times they will go and do, and they'll have to move on before they get the feedback loop of learning where did we go wrong, where did we build something that wasn't easy to work with. And so find ways to learn from your customers. Where are those challenges, and actually hear it and build it in. It makes a difference.
Thank you. So I think on this last point, I think a good litmus test is that I'd say for the vendors, do you have user research? Like, do you actually go off and talk to your users? Like, you have design teams to go off and do user research. And that's a good question for your vendors. Like, you're going off and talking to them. I mean, honest, no BS. It should be. You're not being salesy right now. This is definitely something that you should consider for any type of tool, any type of software. All right, so with that, time flies, we can keep talking and stuff, but hey, it's time to go to our lightning round, which is hey, presented by Data World. I have to say, Tim and I are super freaking lucky we get to do this for 2.5 years. Yeah, I'm so cool. Thanks, Data.World, to do this. So I'm going to kick it off. First question. Can we train empathy, or do we have to focus on hiring for it?
Can we train empathy?
Or do we have to focus on hiring?
That's like such a deep profound question. I don't even know what to say that.
And you can only say yes or no.
That's not very good. That's not
I'm sorry, you can give a little context.
I think you can definitely hire for empathy. I think a piece of it is culture. Having a culture that embraces. We're not folks. A culture that we are okay with you making mistakes. We're okay with people admitting they made mistakes and not being punished for that, either explicitly or through shaming, through feeling stupid. But can empathy be trained? I think you can definitely learn empathy by being on a team that's a helpful, caring, learning team. So yes, of course it can be. Humans are learning animals. Of course it can be.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that some people demonstrate more natural empathy than others. It's also not always evident what somebody's level of empathy is based on their actions. Some people are more outgoing with that empathy than others. It isn't always easily measured by someone's facial expressions or the words they choose or what have you. But I absolutely agree. This is a skill that can be learned. And I think that while there are some old dogs that don't learn that new trick, and some people just don't care, I hope that you have a culture where they wouldn't have been hired in the first place. But that is something that you can certainly move the needle on and improve.
I have to go in that consequence. My mom always said, the people that are hardest to love are usually the ones that need it the most. And that's true. You remember that with the prickly people on your team?
All right, everybody, love your prickly people too, all right? All right, second question here, lightning round. We'll start with you, Anthony. So in Donna Burbank's keynote, she noted that she did her lab and she did an unofficial survey, and only 10% of folks said that they were leading with offense, right? And the other 90% were leading with defense. In the next 5 years, will we get to, let's say, 50-50 or better?
No way.
Fair.
I mean, that's a huge move. Like, I'll give you maybe 15%, but yeah, we are not going to see that kind of rapid evolution in that time frame. I don't think that's likely. I think we are trying to move mountains with this. And we're adding more mountains on top of those mountains every day. More and more data, more and more complexity, more and more business processes, more and more applications. We're going to be lucky if we don't lose ground. because it's still so loud. The defensive posture that organizations will take to trigger the data governance. We just haven't gotten that far.
Can somebody build a data science model on that before you get to the numbers? Can
Can we run a Monte Carlo simulation? Or...
What is your answer?
Anything you change or add?
All right.
Yeah, I love the candor. That's great.
So next question, resource constraints are real. Is the biggest bottleneck for governance that it needs more investment by the business?
Is that the biggest problem?
No.
I don't think it's necessarily the biggest problem. This is a problem for sure, yes. But, what department have you been that has said, we got so many people, we don't even know what to do with all these people? Like, no one said that ever.
I mean, I think if we could demonstrate the staggering return on investment we like to think we have, I bet we can get the resources. And so I think the biggest problem is that we really struggle in demonstrating the value that we believe in. And if we can do that and still not get the resources, then maybe that becomes the biggest problem.
I think that's a great answer there. We have to articulate the value that we're creating and that we're providing, and then the investment's going to follow. Right? All right. Last question. Lightning round. Should data governance really be data enablement?
Yes. That's my answer. Sticking with that.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So can we change it for this conference next year? Called the data enablement? Yeah.
DEIQ.
So DGIQ? Data enablement?
I don't know if they can hold off the
All right. Well, hey, it's always we do our takeaways. So Tim, take us a little takeaways.
Awesome. So it's time for our takeaways. So amazing conversation about governance and how we can make more progress. Some key takeaways from this conference, as well as some great takeaways that you all have been bringing in with your own answers here. So one of the biggest things is that it feels like governance is still in a lot of the same place, and we need to really affect some change to kind of get it into a better direction. There's more data to govern. There's a lot more use cases. There's a lot more complexity, and we're still trying to get the uptake. And we don't know if we're seeing more success than we have before. And so we have to really look at the metrics, look at the impact that we're having, and really focus a lot on the business value. That was a big theme that kind of came through today around the business value. Shannon, you had mentioned that you saw like the sessions on gaming governance and just in general a lot around how do we get people to care more. And so that's a really important theme. How do we do that? How do we motivate that? There's too much focus on the technical aspect, and now we need to really focus more on the business aspect as well. Organizations don't change, people in them do. I thought that was a really great quote. How do we get people to care? Well, communication is key. Understand your audience. It's not just about caring about data governance, but it's about what's best for the business. What are the challenges of the business? How do we connect data to that? We talked about this hotel analogy, right? Can I take more of a service mentality and really think about how I can serve? And what are the things that the hotel does that are more table stakes versus the things that they do that are delightful? And then, Anthony, you mentioned about speed, right? The speed to providing that value is really important. And so those quick wins become really important for us in governance. We talked about marketing mindset and really thinking more like a marketer or a product manager around some of these different things. What is the role of governance around data products? Well, it probably plays a really significant role and maybe even drives data product management. Data as a product means you must have a great product, but you also have to have great product marketing. And so you need to sell and you need to market the product and pick a good market to stick that product into, which is kind of the tying it to the strategic initiatives that really the executive team and that your company really cares about. Anthony, you mentioned drive adoption. Adoption is key. And we talked about the ROI, tie it to the business initiatives, execute the fundamentals, speed the use, and really think about those incentives. Shannon, you mentioned that privacy and some of these more defensive use cases can be a very important incentive to get right, because that's the stuff that, you don't have a choice. You really have to do a good job with that. Juan, what are your big takeaways?
We had a lot of discussion about the offensive and defensive. I think we were asked about what you have to go specialize or not. Well, we will probably specialize, but you will need to understand both effectively, right? And you need to do some things on the offensive side because you can get that lasting investment in data governance, right? You're affecting the top line of the revenue and the strategy. And being done with data is like being done with HR, right? So we need to really, it's a very important key takeaway there. And we talk about that gap between like data teams that do the data and build a strategy. And Anthony, you said something is you do things without knowing what is possible, and that's not a strategy. It's a wish list of things, right? So we really need to make sure that we have that clear communication throughout the entire hierarchy. Priorities for next year: lead by example. We need to measure, quantify, understand the quality, and use that to teach others. So let's lead by example. And we need to communicate. We need to improve our communication, be able to communicate outside of that audience. And then the honest, no BS recommendations for vendors, us included, and for everybody out there listening, vendors, make it a consumer experience, make it delightful like shopping on Amazon. And Anthony said, put yourself in the shoes of the user. Don't get obsessed with what you're building. Really understand it. How did we do? Anything we missed? Takeaways?
This is very comprehensive.
How do we do? Did we cover it?
All right. Pay attention here, really. All right, so three final questions. So, what's your advice about data, life, broad question on purpose? Who should we invite next? And third, what resources do you follow? What people, conferences, podcasts, books, newsletters, whatever? Shannon.
My advice. My piece of advice would be, if you have to describe what you do in your data, this is like what happened to me. I had to describe to somebody who knows nothing, not from, he's in finance, he sells financial products. I was like, what do you do? I just stated that it was, you like your data scientist? And I had to explain data governance. And I said, it's like if you go to the library and all the books are on the floor, and there's no card catalog, and you can work it. Like, that's kind of what you're doing. That's this book for me. And he's like, oh, I don't get that. And that ended the discussion. So that's my advice. I'm just resources I use personally. I like Jonah Berger, I believe his last name might be Bergen, marketing professor from Wharton, about influence. He has a lot of information on influence. I like that. I really like ProSci.com. It's organizational change management. I follow Gardner blogs a lot, and I follow a lot of stuff going on diversity. So I would give a plug for diversity as well.
Who should we invite next? Who should we invite next?
Oh, I would invite Steve McLaughlin about the gamification. That's I really like to see.
All right. First question.
What's your advice?
Oh yes. My first advice is we're recording this at the end of the Diversity DGIQ conference, and right now everybody's got a lot of ideas swimming around your head. I also think we tend to have a propensity to overthink things, so I think let it simmer a little bit and try to simplify. And to Shannon's point, we can't bring all this complexity to our businesses and be like, here's the dump of everything, and expect that to go well. So really try to just take a breath and decide, okay, what's most important in my organization? This week I got a lot of good questions to ask, but I need to take a measured approach to that, or otherwise it's just going to blow right past everyone. And then in terms of resources, I would recommend, again, all the diversity stuff. The diversity online training is becoming incredibly comprehensive. There's a lot there, a lot of webinars, a lot of free resources. There's a lot of great data podcasts out there now. I mean, there's a ton of good resources. Yes, and so those are I think, a few things. I would also recommend, a book that everyone should read is The Phoenix Project. So Gene Kim's kind of classic book. I read it every year, and it just helps reorient. Okay, what's really important? So Phoenix Project. And then in terms of the next guest, I think you might be well served by having Bill Tannenbaum on. He's a data lawyer. He did a couple talks this week. I think that was it really opens your eyes to a different perspective while still giving a connection to the data space that you have. So we would definitely get some additional perspectives that are data tangent.
Well, just before we say goodbye to the wrap up, next week is our season finale. It's season 4, over 110 episodes. Tim and I are just going to do our takeaway of the takeaways. So we're going to summarize everything that we have talked about in the last 4 or 5 months of this.
So if you missed this season or you skipped a few, you want to get everything that we've learned in season 4 compacted into 50 minutes and come and listen. It's going to be fun.
And then we're going to kick off season 5 on January 11th. We're going to take a couple weeks break. And our first guest is going to be Bill Inman, the father of the data warehouse. It's going to be a phenomenal company already. We've been meeting with him. He's just such an amazing, awesome guy. And then after this, we're going to head to the Hamilton Bar just around the corner. So join us for a post-conference drink on Catalog and Cocktails. And with that, Shannon, Anthony, thank you so much. DGIQ, the university, thank you so much. If you like what you heard, join us every week. You can find us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Live, and
Spotify, you can find us everywhere.
Here's the podcast tomorrow.
And if you're curious, what the hell is that data.world thing, go check out data.world, Catalog and Governance Lab. So,
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Awesome.